Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Fernando. This is a channel dedicated to the young professionals and to students currently pursuing a degree in engineering. Today I am excited to have a guest in the show, in the YouTube channel if you will, Brianne Martin. She is a mechanical engineer by trade, and I'm going to let her kind of talk about a little bit more of what her career path has been and some of the things that she's done. So without further ado, Brianne, you can kind of quickly introduce yourself to the viewers.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be your first official guest. My name is Brianne C. Martin, also known as the People Engineer. I guess I am an international speaker. I am a, 2 times over business owner. I have my own engineering consulting firm where I focus on lean processes, quality, operations. I'm a nerd for all of that, so I know we'll get into that a little bit later. And yeah, I've had kind of this non-traditional path. I'm very ambitious and I love learning, and I'm kind of always next to the next new thing and challenging myself. So really excited to kind of share and answer any questions anyone has.
And the biggest question that people usually have is, what is mechanical engineering? So if you could just define it in a quick way for an elementary kid to understand it, like what do you think that would be?
Yeah, so I guess very elementary, it's such a broad discipline, is essentially anything that moves, right? So for those, obviously pursuing engineering or any kind of STEM degree, you think of like static and dynamics, and we take those classes understanding the foundations. And so anything that moves is very dynamic. You have to understand how it goes into a process, or taking into consideration just the fact that it moves, what's the part that is stationary to hold it in place, and then what are the degrees of freedom. And so I say with that as a very basic, anything that moves, because it could go into thermal system design, it can go into combustions, which is a part of the thermal systems, it could be a part of anything in reality. So for me, I took more of the manufacturing side, and again, the kind of soft side of engineering, which is processes, procedures, the way that we do things in order to operate. But again, it's so broad, you can go any which way.
And so because it is so broad, like what are some of the career paths that people can take?
Yeah, some can do subject matter experts. You can get your PhD, and again, thermodynamics, heat transfer, combustion, even as far as like materials, the breakdown chemically of how things are made. So we know some people pursuing their PhD in material science and 3D printing materials. How do we, push the limits of materials or even create things that don't exist out in nature? So as well as, again, go a managerial route. You understand the basics of things, so how do you run the operations and oversee the business of that? And again, those are even just two, but very technical. The managerials, usually the 2 branches, or even entrepreneurs. Again, if you start a new concept or a new idea or a new way of doing something, you can actually go forward and create a business from that. So lots of different avenues, but those again, kind of the 3 tiers that usually people fall into.
So I know your career has been all over the place, in the sense of being all over the place, meaning you've had an opportunity to kind of experience different areas of mechanical engineering. Mm-hmm. So if you could maybe give like a 1-sentence synopsis of what each one of those things has been, what would that be?
I guess I don't know if I could do it in 1 sentence, but overall,
like 1 to 2 sentences.
Yeah. But I guess what I've really been drawn to is like how things work and why they work the way that they do. So manufacturing was just a natural pull for me, and that's kind of what I was initially brought into for design. Of thinking, man, I could create something that never happened before. I took a hand instrument drafting class when I was in high school, and the fact that I can't draw stick figures to save my life, but I could draw an isometric view and have a pictation or a picture of something that I was thinking of. So I was very drawn to design, but as you know, I didn't end up that way, but that was what really just drew me.
So let's talk about like your first internship in college, right? You were a freshman in college. Mm-hmm. What was that first internship? And what did you do?
Yeah, my first internship was actually not mechanical. It was for the city. So for the city of Victoria, my hometown, I worked essentially as a civil engineering intern. So it was really cool. I got to have my own little truck at 19 years old. I was driving around grading streets. It was the first ever tablet, so we didn't even have tablets back then. But someone had put or coded an access file to just be able to grade the streets. And so from that, I learned, the right-of-way process. I learned how the city actually does, a survey of the what the current conditions are, and then from that make decisions, of where they're going to spend funding. This street is super horrible, but only 5 people use it throughout the year. Then next summer, then I went and worked for the Army, so the U.S. Army, for the helicopter repair down in Corpus Christi, CCAD, Corpus Christi Army Depot. And so there I was, again, supporting like helicopter repairs, anything from structural to corrosion to the way that things were manufactured. If there was a failing beam, we did analysis. And because I was really interested in the design side, they really encouraged me to learn AutoCAD, Autodesk Inventor, and start manipulating and creating things that they only had, I'm going to say drawings and blueprints from the 70s to actually recreate those in 3D models.
In summer 3?
I went back to the Army and came down to Corpus again. What was really cool was this time I was kind of like lead intern, so I had multiple projects. I was overseeing a workbook to be able to help standard operating procedures. So this was the part I got really excited about. Anywhere in the world, a soldier could pick up this book and know how to work on or fix or repair the helicopters, so that was a really cool project I was a part of. And then again, additionally, a lot more of those design. Hey, you know these things, you know how it works, go ahead and start implementing it.
And then is it summer 4 or is it full-time position after that?
Yeah, so I actually took a part-time position as an internship after that summer 3, and so I was working as a design engineering intern doing pressure vessel designs. And so I believe there's still only 2 companies that does glass line pressure vessels, and essentially that's all of our pharmaceuticals. You take medicine, you don't think about it, but there has to be some type of huge chemical explosion to kind of create these things, and so it has to be done in a safe space. And these pressure vessels are huge, the size of an apartment or a house. And my company did glass line pressure vessels, or even a lot of the chemical systems in place. You think like Nutty Professor or all the crazy cool glass things, and so I would help design that. So for that I did AutoCAD and SolidWorks.
Okay, and then after you graduate, then you go work for?
Well, so that was my super senior afterwards. So I did that internship again part-time for about a year and a half. And then again, I was about to graduate, and I'm like, why do I want to do this after school? So let me try one more thing. And I worked for Zodiac Seats my super senior summer of 2013. And I worked as a tooling engineer intern. And so I knew it was a lot more technical, but I figured, hey, again, this is my internship. I can try it. If I don't like it, I don't have to stay. But I've absolutely fell in love. So vacuum form mold, injection molding, just kind of learning how the tools work to create some of the actual products that they sold. But it was very much heavy in plastics, and 3D printer was kind of starting to be a thing then. So it was a lot of fun, and I was very much hands-on with supporting the assembly lines.
So a big question that sometimes people have when they go into an internship, they say, well, I just don't have all the experience, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. Going into those opportunities, did you feel like that was the case? Were you asking yourself those questions?
Oh yeah, and I think my biggest thing was I was just saying I was really interested in learning. I don't know about this, so I'm interested in bringing a new perspective, or these are all the things that I'm setting myself up for. For me, I knew learning in school was very hard because it's all conceptual and by the book, but I knew I was a hands-on learner. So every time I got a chance, I think what really made it successful was being able to make the parallelisms. So hey, I don't have experience in tooling, but I do have experience with understanding the manufacturing side, even though I was in the design part. So kind of bringing those different perspectives and using it as my strengths rather than saying, hey, I have nothing to do with tooling, I don't know anything about this.
Okay, so I know one thing that you're really passionate about is the rotational programs, right? So guys, can you explain to them like what that means? Yeah,
so essentially as I was looking at different internships or even full-time gigs, post-graduation, as I would learn these big companies like P&G or Rockwell Automation would have these really cool rotational programs. And what it was essentially kind of what I did with my own internships. Let me try different things and see what I like. Is they encourage that, and they saw the value in you learning different pieces of the company. Go to a plant here, go to a plant, on the other side of the country or on the other side of the world. And so then when you actually became either a project lead or a project engineer, you understood the different facets of how things come together. And you actually created a network in doing that too. So you would either have a role for 6 to 8 months, or every year you would change. And I didn't, again, have the opportunity to work for them, but I thought, how cool is that? So I knew that's what I wanted to do. I applied for a couple rotation programs, didn't get in. But when I got a full-time job with Zodiac Seats, I thought, okay, how can I make this work internally? I just saw it so much fun, and it's just a huge opportunity that with the company I was working for, I kind of said, okay, these are the 3 or 4 or even 5 things I could do. I would like to stay here for 8 months to a year and apply there and apply there. And I essentially could be able to do that on my own. So I did it, and I loved it. I ended up even having a job created for me because I was, in everything. And I thought, man, how cool would it be to be able to travel and apply the knowledge that I know about this company.
So I guess tell them about the type of travel that you did.
Yeah. So I started as tooling engineering, I mentioned. The next role was I jumped into a different department, which was liaison engineering. Essentially, it was firefighting. The first 3 months I did specifically assembly line support. And then because I had design experience, they asked me to help with aftermarket sales support. And so that was a lot more of the design out in the field, so things went wrong. And with that, we would have the marketing aftermarket sales guys come to us and say, hey, here's a list of questions the customers want to know. And I was like, man, this is crap. Like, I could be out there, you know, traveling the world, because that's what they were doing, and answer these questions, you know, to the customers, work with their engineers. And so after that, I kind of just sold myself and said, hey, I could do this. You know, it's totally what I want to do. And so I oversaw 109 customers in Africa, Middle East, Southwest Asia, and India. So my first trip abroad was to Ethiopia, fell in love. My second trip was to Dubai, fell in love again. Then I went back to Ethiopia for 2 weeks to actually meet with a bunch of engineers and suppliers. I have been to Uzbekistan, I've been to Turkmenistan, to Nairobi, Kenya. So, I mean, it's just so much opportunity. And with your engineering degree and problem solving, again, anything that you nerd out about or you're excited about, people want to know that you can be of service to someone.
So what do you think, what is the one skill that you think you utilize to be able to become, available to be able to do that type of work?
Yeah, I think just my pure curiosity, like just being interested and listening, trying to tie things together. I'm very much a big picture thinker, and so a lot of times people are stuck in the nitty gritty and really hone in on the details. Whereas if you kind of pull back and I say, oh, well, you know, Jerry was saying this idea and Susan over here has this opportunity, like how can we connect the two? And so simply, again, just always asking questions, being curious, and then kind of throwing crazy things out. Like, this may be a crazy idea, but what if we do this, this, and this? And I think people get excited with the new energy or just opportunities, new ways of solving problems.
Okay, so like you've kind of been all over the place as far as your experience goes.
Mm-hmm.
So going into your degree in mechanical engineering, what was your expectation? And then post-graduation, what was the reality of it?
Yeah, I think I just got so excited about design, again, to create something new. And I feel like as new engineers, you know, even in school, you're excited about all the things you're learning and all the cool, fun stuff that's going on. You think, oh, I can make it better. Oh, I can fix things. Going in, it was almost exact opposite. So the more that I learned about manufacturing, it's like, oh, you have to understand how stuff is made in order to go make it. Like, you can't just, you know, spit something out. Like, you have to really understand the process of what people go through, the operators, the whole, again, machinery process, the whole 9 yards. And so that was almost kind of a weird opposite for me. And then for me, again, my difference of expectation was I got really excited about that. Let me help understand and train the design engineers so they know this stuff when they're designing, that, you know, we're helping each other out. So it was very interesting. Going in, I knew I wanted to do design. And again, as a new engineer, I just kind of wanted to hit the ground running, and you have to spend so much more time actually learning, being curious, and getting a better understanding.
So a lot of the work that you do now is focused on helping people understand those differences, of knowing like what it takes to become a successful mechanical engineer. So I guess to the people watching, like where can they find you? Where can they get more information about you?
Yeah, so I actually focus on auditing and processing and assessments much more than like how to be successful engineering. How do you get the things to work together simultaneously? So for me, again, I go by the People Engineer, Brianne C Martin on all my handles, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. So yeah, feel free to look me up, or even BrianneCMartin.com. You know, I have a contact me if you want to set up a call, a chat, whatever. I'm here to help in any way I can.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for watching this show. I hope you guys took some value from this conversation with Brianne. And you know, keep being on the lookout. Make sure you guys comment, like, and subscribe. Stay involved in the channel, and just let us know how we can help. Thank you.